Hi, I'm Nat,
And I'm Pete.
and this is the Hire Yourself podcast. Each day we will publish a short episode on franchising and owning a business. These small bits of information will help you be a better entrepreneur and business person. Between us, we have 75 years of experience and have owned and run 9 businesses and counting.
Hey, I'm Sean Smith, and I'm the producer of the Hire Yourself podcast. You'll hear from me each episode because I will introduce the topic that Nat and Pete will be talking about. Each episode will be based on a question I have about franchising since I know pretty much nothing. And the question for this episode is, how much money do I need to become a franchisee?
When you look to invest in a franchise, again, there are two basic business models. There are service-based franchises and there are facility-based concepts. So think of, again, that franchise that goes and washes windows at my home or my business would be a service-based business. And a facility-based business would be, again, that strip mall, take 2,000 square feet, place where you can get your hair cut, get a sub sandwich, whatever it may be. And so when we look to invest in a franchise, there are two basic numbers you need to know. The first number you need to know is how much liquid capital do you need to have. Now, liquid capital is loosely defined. It could be cash, it could be stocks, it could be bonds, it could be equity in your home that you leverage, it could be your retirement dollars. Instead of investing in stocks and bonds, invest in your business. The second number is the total investment, exactly how much money you need to get the business up and running. From paying the franchise fee, to attending training, to building out the facility or leasing equipment, and including working capital, total investment. So when we look at service-based franchises, you need a minimum of $75,000 liquid capital, and the total investment is something greater than $75,000. So it could be $85,000, it could be $135,000. It is something greater than $75,000. When we talk about the retail or the facility-based concept, well, that number jumps up because you're building out a facility. So then you need a minimum of $100,000 liquid capital. And the total investment is something greater than $200,000. Now, the difference between the total investment and the liquid capital, you could go do SBA financing or other things like that, but you need a minimum of $100,000 liquid capital and a total investment of $200,000 for a facility-based concept.
Yes, Sean, I think that's a great question. We get asked that a lot. And one thing that I really like about franchising is that it's actually heavily regulated by the Federal Trade Commission. So every year, every franchise has to file an FDD, which is a franchise disclosure document. And in that FDD, there's an item 7, which has in there about 20 or 30 line items, and it will indicate what the high, the low, and the average startup is. So that's an audited document that's in every franchise disclosure document.
Again, as you look at any franchise, part of your due diligence is the item 7. It gives you the investment range. And the idea behind it is you've got a really good feel of each category of how the investment stacks up. What a lot of people ask us when we're talking about investing in a franchise is not how much, but how do I get the capital? And there are wonderful companies out there that can kind of help you figure out the best way to leverage your available capital. Because a lot of people don't realize that they have capital in places that they hadn't thought about. For example, leveraging their home equity, which is maybe an affordable way to fund a business, or using that 401k, which is in stocks and bonds, and people are going, hey, listen, I want to diversify, I want to be in control of my money, or I just want to go get an SBA loan. A simple SBA loan. So there are many different levers. So one, it's understanding how much you have to invest in the business. And then number 2 is putting together a plan of how would you best fund that business if you were to invest in it.
Yeah, I think once we get into specific brands with candidates, they can use the disclosure document to see what the item 7, the initial investment is. Then we typically, I coach my guys kind of look at the high end of that investment just because it always costs more than you think it is. And then kind of like what Pete was saying, there's different lenders, and we're happy to make introductions to a handful of different lenders. The nice thing about franchising is that the lenders are really super familiar with most of the franchises, and they're actually on the SBA registry. So then they're, getting funding for franchise is pretty straightforward at this point.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this or any of our other episodes, please subscribe to the podcast. And it would be absolutely amazing if you could give us a rating and review. We hope you listen to us again tomorrow.